A British soldier who volunteered to fight for Ukraine was killed in battle last week, becoming the 10th Brit to die fighting in the war against Russia. Friends and family of Samuel Newey have said he had a kind and giving heart and always wanted to help people. Samuel was just 22 and was studying psychology at university. His mother said he didn't even think twice when making the decision to fly to the war-torn country to support the Ukrainian forces. And I'm joined now by Samuel's mother, Vikki Downes, and his brother, Daniel Newey, who's also been fighting with the Ukrainian forces. Thank you both for coming all the way in today.
You're welcome.
My deepest condolences to you as his mum, to you as his brother.
Thank you.
My brother was a serving officer in various wars. We know as a family, we know what you've been through to a degree, but we never had to go through what you both go through now. Let me first of all ask you, how are you doing?
How would any mother do? I am broken, but immensely, immensely proud of the man he grew into, the sacrifice that he made. As a mum, would I change it? Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Right. How do you feel about it? You've been out in Ukraine fighting as well. You were actually his commander for a few months.
Yep.
With the Ukrainian forces. How are you feeling right now?
From a human perspective, obviously it's not a good thing to lose your brother, so that's something that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. But on the other hand, the progress that he made during his time in Ukraine, it was absolutely crazy to see him change from a boy into a man. So from like a soldier perspective, I'm so proud of him.
What compelled you both to want to be there?
I think it's more of a question of morality. So the way that we were always brought up is if you see something wrong, speak out against it, act out against it. So I think it's just part of our nature to just help wherever people need help.
Do you know what happened to Sam?
I do. I do know what happened. Would it be all right not to go into details, but what I do know is that Sam was first in and he was last out, and he would not leave his position until all of his unit were out. And pretty much that's all I know, really. Just.
What do you feel about the cause that he was fighting for?
What do I feel about the cause? It's from a humanitarian point of view, I agree. I agree with the cause. I think that it is important as human beings to challenge wrongdoing where we can. You know, we're lucky in this country that we have a voice. We are allowed to speak out. We are not oppressed to a certain degree. We have to stick up. We have to fight for the rights of other people when we see that, you know, they're not being given the same rights and democracy that we have.
What are your feelings about Vladimir Putin?
I feel really sorry for Putin. I think he's delusional. I think that he has had a life unlike ours. I think that their society is very different. I don't hate him. I just feel sorry for him.
It takes a lot to not hate someone who's been responsible for your boy's death.
It does take a lot. But the whole reason both my sons do what they do are for good reasons. And if I hated, where would that hate stop? Where would it end?
How do you feel about Putin and what the Russians are doing?
The same. Obviously, I don't agree with the invasion of Ukraine. It's an illegal invasion, and it could be argued that it is actively a genocide. I've got no animosity towards Russians. during my time in Ukraine, when we take prisoners, a lot of these people are just young kids that have been forced into a situation, so they haven't really got the choice, if that makes sense. So I hold no hatred towards Russians or to Russia as a country. But yeah, obviously the situation just is what it is. I don't know, I mean, it could be argued that this is an overspill of the proxy conflict in Syria. I mean, if we look at sort of the Russian and American proxy war that happened there, this is a direct overspill. So what we've seen is obviously Assad's been sort of propped up by the Russian regime. And then we see obviously Russia trying to drive a wedge in NATO as well. So if we look at Erdogan's relationship with Putin, it's very obvious, and it should be obvious to everybody, that these countries like Russia, Turkey, they are the enemy of all like democracy-loving countries and people. So again, I mean, we shouldn't look at these as isolated incidents. They're all completely interconnected. So I think that's what people should take on board.
Will you go back to Ukraine?
I don't want to say this in front of my mum, but 1,000,000% I'm going to go back.
How do you feel about that?
I have to support my child in whatever decision he makes. What I feel about it as a mother, I don't think any words can describe. How much I would want to say, don't go, but I don't think I'd be able to stop him even if I wanted to. So he will go with love and support.
Has Sam been brought home yet?
Not yet. We're trying to get him home, and we will get him home. It's a really strange conversation that two brothers have had, I suppose. But Sam wanted to be buried. That's a huge cost. Didn't want to be cremated. So we are currently raising money to get him home and to give him a funeral. We would like military honours, but we're struggling to, organise everything. But we'll do what we can. Whatever's left, we intend, there are 9 other families in this country who are going through what we're going through. But there are also families from other conflicts whose children have volunteered to go out there and fight. We need to support.
What is the legality of what you guys have been doing?
It's quite a grey area. So with Ukraine at the moment, because obviously there's quite a lot of support from Western countries, it's not a problem. So when you make the decision to travel out, the police stop you. They give you a little letter that says, look, you're probably going to get hurt. We've told you not to go, don't go. It's up to you, kind of.
It's like a disclaimer.
Yeah, for sure. It just covers their backside. And but if we look at, say, like Syria, when volunteers initially started going to Syria, a lot of people were being arrested for terrorism offences and stuff. So I think it just depends on like the political situation and depending on who it is that you're actually fighting against. So obviously Turkey being a NATO country, for me that was a big problem when I decided to participate in the conflict against Turkey. But Russia being the enemy of the West, it's not a problem at all.
This issue of when your brother comes back, getting military honours, recognition for his extraordinary courage that he's shown. He's not a regular member of the armed forces. Presumably there'll be a process, I guess, which says, well, it doesn't count. But obviously it should count. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, my brother's put his life on the line and travelled to another country to help people that need him. I think millennials and Gen Z get quite a hard reputation a lot of the time. A lot of people say that it's not within us to sacrifice and to know what struggle is, but I'd like to argue the opposite. We do know what struggle is. A lot of us do give up comfortable lives to travel to other places to help people. So that's the bottom line, and I don't think people should ever negate the sacrifices that have been made. So my brother was 22 when he died. He's given up his whole life for other people. He's not going to have any more days. and to be able to square that away with yourself as a human and say, right, I'm willing to give up all the rest of my days for other people. It just takes a different...
Well, to fight for freedom and democracy, which I think is the most important thing you could ever fight for.
Absolutely.
And your son, to me, is a hero and should be treated as such by this country. He may not have been there officially, but he was there, risking his life, as it turned out, losing his life to fight for Ukraine's freedom and democracy. And I can only imagine how grateful the Ukrainian people must feel about what both your boys have done for their country. Just before I let you go, just tell me about your son, Sam. What kind of
he was an
boy was he?
absolute nightmare. He was an absolute nightmare. So Sam was born with unnatural confidence as a toddler. It was in him to fight for what he believed. Even as a child, if you chastised him, he would argue his points. And he was so funny, so funny, got a great sense of humour, intelligent. He actually did, he won Apprentice of the Year in butchery, and he was presented with a certificate by Princess Anne,
really?
of all people. And God love him, he chatted to her for an hour like she was an old school friend. I don't know what she made of him, but if you had met him, he'd have left a mark.
It's obviously desperately sad that you lost your son. He sounds a remarkable young man in many different ways. But how proud of him are you? Immensely proud. I'm heartbroken, but my gosh, what a man he grew into. A lot of people have said, gosh, you're a great mum, you've brought them up well. And Piers, I won't take that. That's, you don't give somebody morality, you don't give them bravery and courage and honour. It's in there. That's down to Sam, that's not down to me. I'm so sorry that you've lost this wonderful son, that we've lost what sounds like a great Britain.
Absolutely.
And I'm very grateful to you for what you've been doing. I wish you all the very best if you do go back there.
Thank you very much.
Ukrainian people need all the help they can get.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I feel that there's nothing more important than what they're fighting for.
Definitely.
So thank you both for coming in. I wish it was under different circumstances, but Sam was a hero, and you should both know that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.